Hi, it's David Gaum in the Stained Glass Studio, and today we're doing something different. We are replacing one of our inland grinders with a Glastar G8 grinder. Now, there are some differences about this grinder, and one is that the interior is a little different than the interior of the Wizard grinder. It's a great grinder though. This is a wonderful setup. Now you see here, this little piece here is called an impeller, and it actually pumps water. And this is a channeling device that helps pump that water. Now normally what you do is you place a sponge in the lower cavity, and it brings water up to the grinding bit. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. We don't usually do that. What we usually do is we have a special Aquaflow brush. Now we're going to leave the Aquaflow brush that we have on our Wizard grinder, but on this one we're going to use this with the sponge. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want this pump to work. So what I wanted to do was show you a couple of techniques for extending the life of your grinder. Now, putting that brush on will extend the life of your grinder. Your bit will last longer because it gives more water flow to the diamond surface, and therefore it won't wear out as fast. But we're not going to use that today. So the important part that we're going to talk about is, first of all, before you place your grinder bit onto the shaft, you want to take a little thin film of petroleum jelly and put it on the shaft. It doesn't need to be a lot, but you want to put it on there. Sometimes, for a while there, grinder companies were furnishing that, but they don't do that anymore. Now, when I've done that, I can now slide my grinder bit over, and I don't have to worry about it seizing up. I know that. Now there are 4 grinder surfaces on a bit. In order to use them just right, you want to raise your grinder bit up to where it is 1/8 of an inch up, or maybe slightly more, and that's where you want to tighten your Allen key down. So I've got a little bit of a wear surface so that my 1/8 inch surface of glass will get worn away. Now once that's worn down, now I have the opportunity to raise it up another 1/8 of an inch, and I can tighten it up and get another wear surface, and then I can do that again, and finally, just if I set it just below the work table, then that's my 4th wear surface. In fact, I think I'm going to leave it just like that, and then I'll move it down as it wears. Okay, now on this particular grinder, your smaller 1/8 inch bit comes like this, and it just screws into the top of the shaft. This is really a good good method. It's so much better than the other type because it doesn't get in the way of moving your grinder bit up and down. So therefore, you're able to get all 4 wear surfaces out of it. On the Wizard grinder, I was only able to get 3 wear surfaces. And then, of course, there's the work table. Now, the work table just simply fits into the hole and then down on the base. And when you want there to be water broadcast onto here, you just open that up. That lets the water flow up from that impeller that we talked about earlier and out, and it flows down here to your grinder bit. But I don't need that right now because I'm just going to be doing regular grinding. Now, there is an ice shield that comes with this grinder. We don't put them on in our shop because our students all wear safety glasses while grinding. That protects them from the side as well as from the front. And so we feel like that's a better way to ensure that you don't get anything in your eyes. That's just a personal choice for our shop. You might want to use the grinder shields as an additional method of ensuring that your students don't get harmed. But for us, the regular safety glasses work. Okay, now one of the things that you might want to ensure that you're doing as you're setting your machine up for the first time, there is a drain hole here, and there's a flexible plug, and you want to just insert that nice and tight so that the water doesn't run out as you're using your grinder. Now, then when you put your table back on, there is this little brass part. You push that in, that seals off your shaft from getting water and gunk down into it. And that's an important part that you'll do. This is a wonderful setup because it doesn't put a lot of extra pressure on the shaft that the other method does, and so it doesn't have a tendency to warp the way the other type does. So what we've talked about is putting petroleum jelly on the shaft. That way you will not have a seized shaft. And I recommend that whenever you move your grinder bit up or down, you reapply that jelly. It doesn't take much time. There's hardly any mess. You'll be glad if it doesn't seize up. I did have one seize up on me one time, and I had to actually send it to the manufacturer to get it released, which did save me from having to replace the grinder at that time. So that's the one tip, but the other tip is also very important, is that you raise and lower your grinder, and also you want to make sure that you keep that sponge nice and wet. And I guess that's it. That's everything you need to know about extending the life of your grinder. This has been David Gaum in the Stained Glass Studio, and I hope you find this tip to have been a little bit helpful. Okay. Well, here's a little update on the impeller that puts water up onto this top piece. It doesn't work. We tried it. We went through. I troubleshot it. It just didn't seem to be working very well at all. And so we will go ahead and convert over to where we have a brush pushing up behind here. Since we're not going to be using that piece anyhow, we will use a sponge on the back of the 1/8" bit in order to do our grinding for that size. So that's that's the update that I wanted to give you. All right, thanks a lot.